Welcome to According to Sam, folks. This is episode 417. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you guys have had a good week. We're going to start this podcast by covering the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, and the potential drawdown to the conflict between the United States and Iran. And then we're going to get back into another crisis that is facing the United States in this series of podcasts as we approach the 4th of July, 2nd of July, and the nation's 250th anniversary, counting down the crises that the United States are facing right now. We covered two in the past podcast. And after we get through covering this news about the conflict with Iran, we're going to get back into the third crisis. We'll see how much time we have. But in this podcast, as we start, I want to cover what is going on with this Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, this agreement that everybody is criticizing Trump over. They criticized him for doing anything, and now they criticize him for stopping what he was doing. And, he can't win. Someone is going to be upset no matter what this guy does. And a lot of people, are not really even listening to what he's saying. So I'm going to play what Trump have a few clips here. I think I have like 7 clips here from the G7 meeting in France that he was just at earlier this week, and some comments that Trump says, because people do not listen to what he's saying. And I'm going to explain to what Trump is doing. I'll go ahead and explain what Trump is doing and make my case for what Trump is doing. And then I'll use these clips and Trump in his own words to reinforce my theory and what I believe is going on. I believe that Trump is using a strategy called the carrot and the stick strategy. It's also called positive and negative reinforcement. This is how dog trainers train a dog. You can use positive reinforcement, giving them a treat when they do something right, or negative reinforcement. They have the dog collar that you can put around his neck and you push it and gives the dog a little shock if he does something wrong. That's negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is the treat. Negative reinforcement is the shock. In the analogy of the carrot and the stick, which goes back to training a horse to pull a buggy, you can either use the stick and whack the horse over the head, and that trains him to move the buggy, or you can use the carrot and you can use the positive reinforcement and use the carrot too. And both are useful. You can use a combination of both. Positive reinforcement in some aspects, negative reinforcement in other aspects. And that's what Trump is doing. He's the carrot and the stick strategy. He spent 3 months giving Iran the stick. Very heavy stick. Anyone who doesn't believe that Iran got stick over the last 3 months is an idiot. Iran got much stick over the last 3 months, but now it's time to employ the positive reinforcement, the carrot strategy. And that's what Trump is doing here. This is a meeting that Trump had earlier in the day. I believe this was Wednesday. Let's look at the date here. I'll tell you exactly. 2 days ago. Today's Friday. It was Wednesday. So on Wednesday, he's there with his cabinet and they have a meeting in France and they go over the Memorandum of Understanding. He explains some stuff and then he's asked a question. I want to start with this clip. Take a listen.
President, you addressed the MOU that's been reported. It includes.
Have I read it?
Well, it's been reported that it includes its $300 billion
It's false.
fund
Totally
funded by Gulf allies. That's false.
It's false. People, you can invest if you want. I mean, what am I going to do? Say nobody's ever allowed to invest? No, we're not investing. We're not putting up 10 cents. And
we're not. So the rumors started to go around that we were giving. Oh, this is just like the JP COA or the Obama deal, JPO. What is it? The JPOA. Anyway, so people were saying that just like the Obama deal, Obama gave him billions of dollars, and you're giving him $300 billion. And that's what he's asked about. The rumor, he said, there's a rumor that you were giving him $300 billion. He says that's false. We're not giving them anything. We are lifting sanctions and allowing people to invest in Iran and allowing Iran to sell their oil. That's part of the carrot strategy, the positive reinforcement. But we're not giving them anything. We're not giving them $300 billion of taxpayer money. That's a lie.
Nobody's ever allowed to invest. No, we're not investing. We're not putting up 10 cents. And people can decide to do that, but that's up to them. I mean, do you want me to say nobody's ever allowed to invest in a country? I'll say it with Egypt. Nobody's allowed to invest in Egypt. Am I supposed to say that?
I'm asking whether...
We are not investing in it, and we do not have a fund.
Are you asking Gulf countries?
No, I'm not. I'm not. If they do it, fine. But I would say they won't be doing it for a while until they find out the behavior. It's a behavior thing. But we are not investing. That's a false story.
Listen to what he just said. Listen to what he said. So it's the JCPOA. That's the Obama deal. And everyone's comparing it to the Obama deal. I want you to listen to what Trump just said. It's a behavior thing. Everything is contingent on Iran's behavior. Even the investment. No, we're not giving them any money. We're not investing. Other countries, we're lifting sanctions and allowing other countries to invest. And who knows if they're going to invest? It's all going to be contingent on Iran's behavior. Listen to what he said. This is part of the strategy. Positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, carrot and the stick. What Iran does, just like what a horse does, just like what a dog does when you're training it, what the dog does is going to determine if they're going to get carrot or stick, if they're going to get positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. Listen to what he says.
In it, and we do not have a fund.
Are you asking Gulf countries?
No, I'm not. I'm not. If they do it, fine. But I would say they won't be doing it for a while until they find out the behavior.
No one's going to be investing until they find out what Iran's behavior is going to be like. Everything is contingent on Iran's behavior. If they get carrot or if they get stick.
Behavior thing. But we are not investing. That's a false story that got picked up incorrectly from a statement that was pretty well made, I think. Maybe a little bit, could have been a little more accurate, frankly. But it's a story. We are not investing 10 cents. Don't forget, there's never been anybody that's been so tough on Iran.
Stick.
It should have been done by Clinton.
Stick. There's never been anyone who's been tough on Iran. No president before me. Going back to Ronald Reagan, who sent Iran arms in the Iran-Contra scandal. No one has been as tough on Iran. No one's given Iran stick the way I've given them stick. There's been a lot of presidents like Obama that's given carrot. Many presidents that has given carrot. Even Reagan, going back to Reagan, that's why he was sending them arms. Carrot. No stick. No one's given Iran stick negative reinforcement the way that I have, is what he says.
So we are not investing 10 cents. Don't forget, there's never been anybody that's been so tough on Iran. This should have been done by Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. It should have been done by Biden. It should have been done by Bush. It could have been done by a lot of people. This has been going on for 47 years. They've ripped you off for 47 years.
47 years. This has been going on. I'm trying to take this off the table, this threat, this issue that we have been dealing with, that the neocons have been using to get us into military conflicts and destabilize the Middle East. This has been going on for 47 years. I'm trying to take this off the table. They've been ripping you off for 47 years. The people who came before me, going back to Reagan.
By Bush, it could have been done by a lot of people. This has been going on for 47 years. They've ripped you off for 47 years, and I'm the only one that did anything about it. They never shot missiles at anybody. We wiped out their Navy.
No stick from any of them.
We wiped out their Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft. They have no radar. You know, the reason oil stayed low is because we were taking ships out every night that you didn't even know about.
Very, very important thing that he says, and he's been saying this in a couple, that they overnight, because that's the big issue. is that all of these ships, there's hundreds of cargo ships that have been stranded inside the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, for 3 months now since this conflict started because they can't go out. The problem's not going in the Strait of Hormuz. The problem is the choke point on the way out. And these hundreds of ships have been stranded in the Persian Gulf for months now, for 3 months since this conflict has been going on. And he says that we've been taking out ships at night, under the dark of night. We've destroyed their radar. They can only fire at the cargo ships coming out of the strait during the day because they can't see them at night. So we've been leading a few of these ships out at night, but the real objective is to get these ships out of the Gulf. That's the important thing to stabilizing the economy. He's going to say this, that we've been using our strategic oil reserves to bring the price of, keep the price of oil as low as we can. But even that, we're running out of our oil reserves. We have to get these ships out of the Gulf. We've been getting them out through the dark of night. But now with this memorandum of understanding, which is going to be a 60-day period, is theoretically, who knows, because this conflict in Lebanon with Israel is trying to throw a monkey wrench in the plan. But theoretically, over the next 60 days, all these ships, cargo ships that have been stranded in the Persian Gulf for 3 months are going to be able to come out if we're able to get this deal done, is what he's saying. We've been doing it overnight, as many as we can, but to get the majority of these ships out, to get these ships moving again, and get the economy back in shape, bring down oil prices, we need to get these ships out of the Persian Gulf.
We wiped out their Navy. We wiped out their military. We wiped out their Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft. They have no radar.
Stick.
The reason oil stayed low is because we were taking ships out every night that you didn't even know about. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, a month ago, we took out 22 ships. We averaged from 15 to 25 ships a night. Nobody knew that. Our Navy did a great job. Nobody knew what was happening. That's why oil didn't go to $300 a barrel. It went to $125, $115. Now it's at 72, 73. I heard it's lower than that now.
It's dropping.
I haven't seen it in the last couple of hours. No, we were very tough, and we took out a man named Soleimani. Remember that? You think this would have happened if he were alive?
Stick.
Genius. He was an evil genius. People forget that. I took out Soleimani.
Not only Soleimani, he took out the supreme leader. Israel took out the supreme leader, took out 80 of their leaders in this. But, that's ain't nothing but stick we've been giving. Now it's time to see if some carrot works. And if carrot doesn't work, stick is still on the table. Stick is still an option. He's been very clear about that.
You don't have the situation that we're in today where we dominated. We wiped out their military. And because we did that, and then we put up the blockade, which was totally effective.
Very effective.
Not one ship got by, Steve.
Is the text of the agreement now final, or are you still...
No, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding.
I love it, this question. Is the agreement now final? That's a great question. He says, no, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding. Basically, the memorandum of understanding, the agreement we've made is that over the next 60 days, the strait's going to be open. All these ships that have been trapped in the Persian Gulf for the last 3 months are going to be able to come out of this strait. We're going to continue to negotiate. That's what the memorandum of understanding is that over the next 60 days, we're going to negotiate on a more permanent deal. But as we negotiate, the ships are going to come out. We're lifting the sanctions. We're allowing other countries to invest. Carrot. But if they don't act right, what, President Trump?
Which was totally effective. Not one ship got by, Steve.
Is the text of the agreement now final, or are you still...
No, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding. And if I don't like it, we'll go back to...
Stick!
Shooting at them.
If I don't like it over the next 60 days, then we'll go back to stick, is what he said. We're going to see if the carrot works. And if I don't like it, then we'll go back to stick. But let's see if the carrot works. Okay. So later on this evening, on Wednesday. This was early in the morning in France. Later on in the evening, he does a press conference, and he's there in France again doing a press conference. He gives a 40-minute a speech and talk, and then he opens it up for questions. I want you to listen to what he says here. President Trump.
But they have a new group of leaders that I think is, actually, I think they're smarter. I think they're very smart. I think they're far less radicalized, and I think they're really good. They love their country. You talk about regime change. Nobody will say that, but I guess look, their one set of leaders is all gone. Their second set of leaders is all gone. Their third set of leaders a little bit gone, but for the most part, and frankly, I think that's regime change. I think they're going to behave much differently. I think
so. He says this is what he's saying. He's saying that people don't want to call this regime change because the mullahs are still in power. We took out 80 to 100 of their leaders, the first tier of leaders, their second tier of leaders. We took them out. This is a very important part of why there needs to be some calming down of the tensions and the war footing, so we can gather some more intelligence on who's actually in charge in Iran. We don't even know who's in charge. So that's an important part, that we need to gather more intelligence about who these guys are. But he says, I think that that would constitute regime change. And I started thinking about this. In 2003, if George Bush, instead of sending an invading force into Iraq, he just assassinated all of the top leaders of the Ba'athist Party. Saddam Hussein, his sons, just assassinated them. But the Ba'athists stayed in power, and they were more cooperative with working with the United States or whatever. I mean, the whole Iraq war in 2003 was based on a lie. So I don't even know what Saddam could have done to do that. I mean, everything that I'm talking about is completely hypothetical because it was all based on a lie. But say that there was a conflict with Iraq the way that there is. Say Iraq had a nuclear program, which they didn't, the way that they told us that Iraq had a nuclear program, and we wanted them to stop enriching uranium, which they never were enriching uranium. They weren't buying yellow cake uranium from Niger, which the Bush administration told us all that was a lie. But let's say there were, and we wanted them to stop. And instead of sending an invading force in to remove the Sunni Ba'athists, we just took out Saddam Hussein, his son, and the top leadership. But the Ba'ath Party stayed in power. Is that regime change? I would say that's regime change. How's the same thing not, the case in Iran, that we've taken out all of their leaders, and nearly 100 of their top leadership. The mullahs are still in power, but it's a different group of mullahs, and they're more willing to work with us. All of their family lives in London and Los Angeles, and they're completely westernized. They're younger. They have a different philosophical view than the old hardliners. And let's see if the carrot works with them. But how can you say that that's not regime change? The biggest mistake that Bush made in 2003 was de-Baathification. Anybody will tell you that. I mean, talk about invading. I do believe that if we put boots on the ground and invaded Iran, that the American military would take out the IRGC very quickly and demolish them. I believe that it would happen real quick. That's what happened in Iraq. I mean, the military action in the beginning, they destroyed Iraq's military, our military, which we have the capability of doing without a doubt. But occupying the place and holding it, that's a different story. That's when the insurgency started. So we're not going to send, we learned something from that. Thank God, Trump. We're not sending troops and boots on the ground in Iran. We bombed the hell out of them, destroyed their Navy, their Air Force, and everything, took out their top leadership. How's that not regime change? That's the case he's making. I would say that's regime change. And with these new guys that still the mullahs, let's see if they're more, if the carrot works better with them after we've given them 3 months of stick.
Their one set of leaders is all gone. Their second set of leaders is all gone. Their third set of leaders a little bit gone, but for the most part, and frankly, I think that's regime change. I think they're going to behave much differently. I think they see a different way of life.
Let's see. I don't know if they are, but let's see.
Never exposed to.
Yeah, he says that. That's an important part.
Regime change. I think they're going to behave much differently. I think they see a different way of life.
I think they see a different way of life. This new group of leaders. Let's see. I don't know if they're going to be more accepting of the carrot than the stick. I don't know, but let's see. It's a new group. They're younger. Again, their family lives abroad in London and Paris and in Los Angeles. In Toronto, Vancouver, a lot of them. So let's see if the carrot works. And then he says this, listen.
Change. I think they're going to behave much differently. I think they see a different way of life that they were never exposed to.
Let's see if they accept a different way of life, a different, something that they've never been exposed to in the past 47 years. Nobody has done what we're getting ready to do. Lift the sanctions, allow them to come into the modern world, see what it's like, to have investment, to have money, not be poor, not be impoverished. Let's see if they use this money for their people and to uplift their nation, or if they start supporting proxies again. If they start supporting proxies again and they start disrupting the region, then we're going to take the carrot away and it's time for stick again. He's very clear about that. Let's listen. This is more. Listen to more what he says.
And it's a memorandum of understanding. If it doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing.
If it don't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to stick. We go back to bombing. It's a memorandum of understanding. Only thing this agreement says is that we're going to talk for the next 60 days while the ships come out of the Gulf, which is a very important part. As the ships are coming out of the Persian Gulf, we're going to be talking. We're going to try to come to a more firmer, permanent agreement. It's a memorandum of understanding. If it doesn't work out, we go back to stick.
Equation. We'll be giving this out so you can read it and you can see. And it's a memorandum of understanding. If it doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing.
Stick. We go back to stick. The carrot doesn't work. We go back to stick. Let's listen to more. What does he say?
Technical discussions on the removal of all stockpiles of enriched materials will begin immediately. We're going to start that immediately. And unlike Barack Hussein Obama, who sent Iran pallets of cash and any relief they receive under this deal, they'll have to get based on merit.
That's what he said. Again, everything that happens, the determination on if they get carrot or if they get sick or if they get stick is based on merit. Is based on their behavior, is what he said. Is based on what they do. That is what is going to determine if they get carrot and continue to get carrot or if we go back to stick. It's very clear.
And unlike Barack Hussein Obama,
what makes the Obama deal different from the Trump deal? If you're looking for anything that's different, the difference is that Obama never gave Iran any stick. He only gave them carrot. That's the difference.
We're going to start that immediately. And unlike
one difference,
Barack Hussein Obama, who sent Iran pallets of cash and any relief they receive under this deal, they'll have to get based on merit. And it won't be from us. We don't have to give them anything. But some people may want to invest. Like, what are you going to do? Say you can never, ever invest in a country? I mean, it's pretty tough. I don't mind being tough, but it's pretty crazy. You can invest in a country. You can invest in any country you want, but you can't invest there. Well, they need investment because
we've been giving them too much stick. He says they need investment. We gave them 3 months of heavy stick. They need investment, and we're willing to lift the sanctions and allow other countries to. We're not going to invest anything, but these other countries, contingent on their behavior, contingent on what they do, these other countries can invest. We'll give them some carrot, and they need it because we've been giving them 3 months of stick.
Tough, but it's pretty crazy. You can invest in a country. You can invest in any country you want, but you can't invest there. Well, they need investment because We did $1.5 trillion, maybe $2 trillion worth of damage. So somebody's going to have to help them out.
Somebody's going to have to help them out. They need it because we've been giving them 3 months of stick. Listen to more. Here's another clip.
No president in history has ever been tougher on Iran than I have, and they know that. And
That's
by
the
way,
truth.
if they don't honor the agreement, or some things aren't even mentioned in the agreement, it's a memorandum of understanding, but we have an understanding of certain things without writing it. And if they don't honor that, we'll probably go back to bombing them until they honor it.
More stick. If they don't honor it, if they don't let the ships out of the Gulf, if they don't, stop supporting proxies, the few proxies that they still have, if they go back to persecuting their civilian population for demonstrating against them, they start killing people and all that stuff, they start acting up, whatever they do, we'll take the carrot away and we'll go back to stick. I don't understand. Stick is not off the table, people. People are acting like stick is off the table. Stick is not off the table. We're just trying to see if carrot works a little bit. Let's see if we get it. If the carrot works, that would be great. I would love for the carrot to work. Now, a lot of the Persian people who don't like the Islamic regime, and they don't want to see the Islamic regime stay in power in Iran, even if they are better behaved and they, do the right things, just because the people that are loyal to the Shah and the diaspora that had to leave after 79, they don't want to have anything to do with the Islamic regime. And I get it. And if they want the regime change and the Islamic regime to change, they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it from within Iran, because we're not doing it. We're not sending boots. That was never an option. And I would love to see them. I would love to see a revolution in Iran where they're able to overthrow the Islamists. But the truth of the matter is that the Islamists are in power, and we're not sending boots on the ground to overthrow them. So let's see if carrot works. Let's see if we can get them to cooperate and play ball and be in the global community, and see what it's like living in the global community. We open up trade and open up investment into the country. So it goes to questions now. And the first person who asked the question is Steve Doocy from Fox News. Take a listen.
Bonjour. You've been clear, President Trump. The United States.
He's been very clear. He's been very clear, Doocy.
You've been clear, President Trump. The United States is not going to directly pay Iran, but the U.S. is going to let the Iranians start making billions of dollars, selling oil, accessing this reconstruction.
Only if they're doing things right.
Only if they're doing things right, Doocy. Yes, I've been very clear. You're right. I've been very clear. Did you hear the part about everything? All the carrot is contingent on their behavior. All the carrot is contingent on merit in what they do. If they do good, they get carrot. If they do bad, they get stick, Doocy.
Is going to let the Iranians start making billions of dollars, selling oil, accessing this reconstruction fund.
Only if they're doing things right. Only if we're not doing anything.
I said Steve Doocy, Peter.
Only if they're doing things right. If they're doing things right, if people want to invest, they can invest. But they had this $300 million fund. It's only $300 billion fund. It's only if they're doing things right. Remember this also, when you talk about billions of dollars, they've had much more than $1 trillion worth of damage done. They got a long way. There'll be 15 to 20 years to rebuild what they have right now. So they have to behave themselves. If they're not behaving, they get hit again.
I mean, I don't understand how he can be more clear than that. He's said it over and over and over again, that everything in this agreement, which we don't even have an agreement yet, we have an agreement to discuss a more permanent agreement, is what the MOU is. That we have an agreement to discuss, and it's all contingent on their behavior. It's all contingent on what they do. It's all contingent on how they handle the carrot. how they respect the carrot. It's all contingent on that.
Long way. There'll be 15 to 20 years to rebuild what they have right now. So they have to behave themselves. If they're not behaving, they get hit again. They'll be hit again because we can do it very easily.
Easy.
It's going to take a long way for them to build back their anti-aircraft stuff. It's going to take, and the other thing I want to thank China, President Xi, I was with him, and he stayed neutral, totally neutral, and I appreciate it. And I want to thank Vladimir Putin. He was very neutral. They could have made it much more difficult for us. And I want to say it. Somebody would say, "Oh, that's terrible. He's thinking."
Brilliant for him to say this at the G7.
He's thinking President Xi of China. Well, let me tell you, I had a long talk with him. They have shoulder weapons to knock down airplanes. That it's not like the real deal, but they're accurate. They're fairly accurate. I said, I would really appreciate you're not giving or selling any of that stuff to Iran. And you know what? For the most part, he didn't. So I just want to thank them because they made it a lot better.
Can you explain, though, what the difference is between giving Iran U.S. dollars and unfreezing U.S. dollars?
He's got to explain that to you, Ducey? He's got to explain that to you? Why does he got to explain that?
Giving Iran U.S. dollars and unfreezing U.S. dollars for
the unfreezing is an easy one.
It's their money.
We have taken a lot of their money, and we have their money. We have taken their money. It's not our money. It's their money, and we froze it. At a certain point in time, I guess we're going to have to give it back. If we didn't give it back, nobody would ever invest in the dollar
Very
again.
important. If we didn't give it back, nobody would ever invest in the dollar again. We have to give it back because people have to trust. And this is going to get us into the crises that we're going to focus on today. Because people have to trust the dollar. Same thing with Russia. They're talking the Europeans are talking about all this money that was seized from Russia at the beginning of the conflict with Ukraine. This is what what's her name from the EU is talking about. Let's just seize this money and take it from Russia and from their SWIFT account. People, if you do that, if you take Russia's money, then everybody else who has money that is in the SWIFT accounts, they're going to remove their money because they don't trust you. Same thing if we take Iran's money and don't give them their money at some point, then people are not going to trust that. I mean, how are other countries and other people are going to say that we can trust that the United States is going to stand by our investments in their dollars if they just take our money? So he's saying that we're unfreezing their money. Yes, that's part of the carrot, but it's not our money. It's their money. All right, I have one more clip from this, and this is one more question, very important.
Mr. President, you've been saying all week that this deal permanently prevents Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, but the drafts of the deal that have been floating around barely mention Iran's nuclear program. So can you explain how exactly the deal achieves that goal?
There's no deal. First of all, there's no deal. It's a memorandum of understanding. So there's no deal. It's a memorandum to discuss a permanent deal. But what are you talking about, lady? The deterrence is stick. That's the deterrence.
Prevents Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, but the drafts of the deal that have been floating around barely mention Iran's nuclear program. So can you explain how exactly the deal achieves that goal?
So when I say permanently, it should be permanently. But if it's not permanently, we will bomb them.
Go back to stick.
They will be bombed, just like I bombed them on Wednesday night and Tuesday night, and was going to bomb them on Thursday night at a level that was 3 times greater, and they knew that. I will bomb them. Now, that's with me as president. If you have a weak, pathetic president, maybe that doesn't happen, but I can only do the job that I have to do. I have a long time to go.
Very, very important what he says there. Because, of course, everyone knows what Iran is doing. Everyone knows that Iran is trying to wait this guy out because he's the only one who uses stick. Obama didn't use no stick. Bush didn't use any stick. Clinton didn't use any stick. Bush Sr. didn't use any stick. Reagan didn't use any stick. He's the only one who used any stick right here. This guy used stick. So of course he knows, everybody knows that how can we trust Iran? How can we trust that Iran is going to live up to this agreement? First of all, there's no agreement, but the threat to Iran, the thing that makes Iran play ball for at least the next 2.5 years while this guy is there is the fact that if they don't behave, if they don't do what's right, that this guy for the next 2.5 years is going to give stick. And the reason that they know that he's going to use the stick is because he's already used the stick. He's not afraid to use the stick like the guys who came before. So that's why Iran's going to play ball for at least the next 2.5 years. Now, everybody knows that Iran, you can't trust Iran. We don't know what they're going to do. And that's true. He said, I can only, serve the term that I'm serving and do what I'm going to do as president of the United States. What he's saying here is that now, if you elect Democrats or if you elect some other weak leader and then Iran says, okay, the guy who used the stick, the only guy who was tough on us is gone now. Now we can go back to behaving erratically again and enriching uranium and paying proxies and all that stuff. He says that's on I'm gone. That's on the Democrat. That's on Gavin Newsom or whoever else you elect in 2028 if you're foolish enough to elect a weak president. But I can only do what I do as president, and I give stick. Now I'm giving carrot, but they know that I give stick, and they're going to probably, cooperate for the next 2.5 years until I'm gone, until January 2029. And if you're stupid enough to elect a Democrat who is going to allow them to go back to business as usual, then, I can't control that. That's what he says.
But if it's not permanently, we will bomb them. They will be bombed, just like I bombed them on Wednesday night and Tuesday night and was going to bomb them on Thursday night at a level that was 3 times greater, and they knew that. I will bomb them. Now, that's with me as president. If you have a weak, pathetic president, maybe that doesn't happen, but I can only do the job that I have to do. I have a long time to go. I have almost 3 years.
You got about 2.5 years. And Iran knows that. Iran's going to try to wait this guy out and see what happens in 2028. But, that's it. That's it. So again, the most important thing is getting these ships, these cargo ships out of the Persian Gulf many of them have been trapped and stuck in there for the past 3 months since this conflict has been going on. Now, once those ships are out of the Persian Gulf, I don't think a lot of them are going to be going back in the Persian Gulf. As a matter of fact, the insurance premiums for these cargo ships to go back in the Persian Gulf is going to be very expensive. And so many of these Gulf nations have already, Saudi Arabia is using pipelines to take the oil from the Gulf side to the Red Sea, to the side of the Red Sea and move oil that way. Other Gulf nations are looking at other ways to bypass the strait. I do believe that once many of those ships come out of the strait or come out of the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, that they won't be going back until you see how Iran behaves and how Iran, handles the carrot. If there's a need for more stick, then those ships don't want to be back into the Gulf, and those ships are going to be going to other places and going through the Red Sea and coming to Texas for a lot of their oil. But you have to clear the Gulf now. You have to get those ships out, which you're going to be able to do that over the next 60 days. Over the next 60 days, when you clear those cargo ships out of the Gulf, while you are operating on the Memorandum of Understanding, if there's a need to go back to the stick, Iran's not going to have the same leverage that they had right now. They're not going to have the same leverage because I don't believe many of those cargo ships are going to be going back in. All right. So you heard all of that. And the media is not spelling that out for you. The media, even right-wing media, conservative media, because many of those people, especially the Rupert Murdoch rags, or who do you think Rupert Murdoch's in bed with and supporting. So, of course, even right-wing media is giving him a hard time now. Of course, CNN and left-wing media is giving him a hard time. And he even says that. I think it's in this clip. Let's see if it's in this clip.
Close to 3 years. Time is going fast. But our country's become we're the most respected country in the world. Those leaders today, and even military, take a look at what happened look at what happened at the time. You can get out. I was going to get out. We were going to get out with dignity and pride, take 100% of the equipment. I was even taking the old now. But we may get it all back.
So you're threatening...
Afghanistan is kissing our ass. You know that?
So you're threatening to bomb Iran if they don't comply, but there's nothing enforceable in the deal itself. Is that correct?
There's no deal.
I let him know. I said, look, if you don't adhere to the agreement, I don't want to do that, but we're going to bomb the hell out of you. And I don't think that they're going to veer from the agreement. What else am I going to do? Am I going to say I'm going to take you to court? Let me take you to court. Let me sue you. No, we're going to bomb the hell out of them.
Oh, we're going to bomb the hell out of them.
I don't want them to. I want them to honor the agreement. Again, the straits close up. Bad things can happen. You know, in war.
I don't know where that other clip is, but there's a part of this where he says, it doesn't matter what I do. He says, it doesn't matter what I do. Somebody's going to be mad. The neocons are going to be mad. We don't put boots on the ground. The liberals are going to be mad, whatever, because they're not in power. They want to do whatever they can to destroy me so they can win seats in Congress and get power. So, I mean, from that side, from the CNNs and the MSNBC, nothing I do is going to be fine for them. But of course, the Rupert Murdoch rags and Fox News and Wall Street Journal are coming against me now because they're all neocons. The National Review, they're all neocons. So he says, it doesn't matter what I do, that they're not going to like it. So one of these neocons, Mr. Ben Shapiro, he heard everything that Trump was saying and all the clips that I just played for you and spelled it out. And I want you to listen to how Ben Shapiro explains what he heard Donald Trump say about the carrot and the stick strategy. Take a listen.
After the midterms, once those elections are over.
After the midterms. So he said, so what Ben Shapiro understands is that the only reason that Donald Trump is trying to make this agreement with Iran and use the carrot strategy and not just go full on stick the way Israel's been doing in Gaza and Lebanon, stick. The reason that Trump is trying to employ the carrot strategy, Ben Shapiro heard, is because of the midterms and that the economy and gas prices being high and everything that Trump is dealing with. He needs to reel things in before we get deep into the summer and head into the fall for the midterms. But he's saying after the midterms, doesn't matter what happens, after the midterms, we should go back to the stick. That's what he's saying. This is what Ben Shapiro's saying. Listen to what he says.
After the midterms, once those elections are over, and again, the president is deeply concerned about the economic health of the country right before the election. He believes that if the economy is doing better, if oil prices are lower, and that means that maybe Republicans hold the House. It means that Republicans hold the Senate. Okay, well, what does that mean for after the midterms? Well, I do trust that President Trump will start to enforce red lines after the midterms.
So listen to what he's saying. Listen to what he's saying. I do trust that he understands that this is all political and that Trump is doing this. He's making this move because he doesn't want Republicans to suffer in the midterms. But after the midterms, this carrot ploy with Iran is what he's saying. And I'm sure other people in his community feel the same way. We understand it's political for you, Trump, and you don't want to be a lame duck for the next 2 years. But after the midterms, we can take the carrot away and start enforcing more red lines and go back to the stick, regardless of if Iran is cooperating and actually accepting the carrot and the carrot is working. It doesn't matter. We need to go back to the stick after the midterms, since the only reason we're doing this is because of the midterms. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I hear this guy saying this and I hear other people saying this, I'm going to be really worried if there's some terrorist attack, some type of Iranian flag attack, false, after the midterms as we head into the holiday season. It's going to be really worried and going to be keeping my eye out of some terrorist attack that forces President Trump to go back to stick after the midterms.
After the midterms, once those elections are over, and again, the president is deeply concerned about the economic health of the country right before the election. He believes that if the economy is doing better, if oil prices are lower, then that means that maybe Republicans hold the House. It means that Republicans hold the Senate. Okay, well, what does that mean for after the midterms? Well, I do trust that President Trump will start to enforce red lines after the midterms. The president was threatening just that yesterday.
If they don't
I do trust
honor the agreement, or some things aren't even mentioned in the agreement, it's a memorandum of understanding, but we have an understanding of certain things without writing it.
And you just heard it. They will go back to bombing them if they don't cooperate after the midterms, is what he's saying. And a lot of Israeli supporters of Israel were upset. Benjamin Netanyahu is upset. They wanted to keep the stick. They want more stick, just like what they do in Gaza and in Lebanon. No carrot, just stick. That's what they want. So a lot of them are upset. A lot of the neocons are upset. And so that's that story. All right. So getting back into, we only have a little bit more time. We don't have very much time, but I don't need much time to break down the crises that is facing the United States, the third crisis in this series of crises that we're doing. And to recap, we're talking about the United States going into our 250th year, getting ready to celebrate our 250th year. And as I explained, that every great empire around the third century, middle part of their third century, they start experiencing a set of crises that either destroy the empire and the empire never declines or never recovers from the decline in the third century, or reshapes the empire like what happened with the Roman Empire, and it's never the same again. And we've been using the third century crises of the Roman Empire as an example. This is a period of Roman history during which the Roman Empire nearly collapsed. And at the end of the third century crisis, the Roman Empire changes forever. The issues that they were dealing with were barbarian invasions and migration, civil wars, peasant revolts, political instability, usurpers, debasement of currency, trade and breakdown of trade networks and productivity, disease, plague. So I said that some of these issues that that Rome was dealing with in the third century parallel with some of the issues that we're dealing with in our third century. And, some of these issues were unique to Rome, and we have some issues that are unique to us. This issue that we're going to discuss today is an issue that parallels what was going on in the Roman Empire in the third century. And it's this issue, debasement of currency and debt, basically, is why you debase the currency, is because you're in debt. And the United States is just under $40 trillion in debt. I would project that by the end of the year, maybe even before that, by the end of the summer, that the United States will reach the $40 trillion mark. And that's a huge milestone. This debt is a huge problem. This crisis is probably the biggest crisis to the nation's national security, long-term national security, is this debt. This debt is completely out of control, and it hadn't always been this way. This is something that happened. This $40 trillion in debt is something that happened just over the past 26 years. Just over the past 26 years. You can see, if you go to the debt clock and you can do the time machine, you can go back to 2000, 26 years ago, and you can see that the national debt on this day in the year 2000, the national debt was $5 trillion. $5.7 trillion is what it was on this day 26 years ago. You come back to today, Now we've added $33 trillion over the last 26 years. That's an average of more than $1 trillion added to the debt every year. This is a severe crisis, people. This is a severe crisis. I've shown you this chart before. This is a chart that shows how fast we add $1 trillion to the national debt. It only goes to 2024. So it is, there's 2 years that are not included in this, but it starts in 1996 and it took from 1996 to 2000. Each color is $1 trillion. It took from 1996 to 2002 to add $1 trillion to the national debt. And then from 2002 to 2004, took 3 years to add $1 trillion to the national debt. And then from 2004 to, 2026, just before 2026, it took, just, a little bit under 3 years to add $1 trillion to the national debt. Same thing from 2006 to just under 2008. It took, just under 3 years to add $1 trillion to the national debt. Then you start seeing things start to accelerate in 2008. In 2008, it takes a year and a half to add $1 trillion to the national debt. What happens in 2008? Obama is elected in 2008. He isn't sworn in until 2009, but you can see in 2009, it takes 1 year to add $1 trillion to the national debt. You had the housing crises that went on here and the economic crisis. So you start seeing things accelerating in the beginning of the Obama administration. And then it's crazy. Now we're adding $1 trillion debt to the national debt every 90 to 120 days. This is you can see this is a crisis. This is a huge crisis. And this crisis is what is causing inflation. It's funny because people are talking about affordability and bringing down prices and inflation. You're never going to, the prices don't come down. You can slow the rate of inflation, but the prices don't come down. This becomes the new normal. And it's all because of the debasement of the currency, and the debasement of the currency, like the Roman Empire, is different because they were actually taking the precious metal out of the coinage. But what we're doing is printing more money. And when you print more money, it devalues the value of the money. So that's what leads to inflation. I think it was about a year ago that the Democratic Party put this chart out, and it was supposed to be some own on Trump. You can see here, they put it out. Trump's America, U.S. grocery prices reached record high in 2025. It's all Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. And then they had to delete this. They ended up deleting it because people started pointing out that the Biden administration created all of this inflation. Inflation reached almost 10%. Under the Obama administration, they kept telling us, under the Biden administration, they kept telling us it's transitory. It's transitory. It's not transitory. This is the new normal. And you can see this is Trump's first term where inflation was, and then where inflation went under the 4 years of Biden. And then that becomes the new normal in Trump's second term. The reason that Trump is dealing with massive inflation right now is because this is what he inherited from the Obama administration. This is the reality of this. From the Biden administration. Biden, same thing. All of this happened under these people. It was hilarious watching all these clowns at the celebration yesterday to open Obama's library. And the speeches from Obama, just complete lies, just felt. But these people that you're looking at on the screen, Biden, he was in the Senate the whole time under the Clinton administration, leader in the Senate, and he was a leader in the Senate under the Bush administration. He helped Bush get authorization for the war in Iraq. And then he became Obama's vice president. And then he stole the election in 2020 and became president. These people right here represent all of this that went on in the last 26 years. Now, Trump, he promised to bring down prices. He did. He's not going to bring down prices. He can't bring down prices. It's the new normal because of the debt. He also, promised to cut some of the spending. He's not cutting any of the spending. As a matter of fact, as you get further into debt and the debt grows, then you got to spend more because it takes more money to service the debt. So Trump really can't. And then he did the big, beautiful bill. I understand that. People were upset, with Thomas Massie because Thomas Massie didn't want to support the bill. During his primary a couple of weeks ago, I said that, I don't care that Trump endorsed Thomas Massie's, opponent in that primary. If I lived in that district, which I don't, but if I did live in that district, I believe that I would have voted for Thomas Massie strictly on the fact that Thomas Massie was I don't know a single member of Congress that cares about the national debt that is in Congress right now, or, that will be sworn in next year. Thomas Massie's still there until January, but he's the only one. He's the only one who complained about the debt. That's why I didn't want to vote for the big, beautiful bill. And I understand it. And I was a little bit conflicted because I knew, first of all, the reason that Republicans had such a slim majority where Thomas Massie's vote was very important to getting this bill passed is because of all the gerrymandering that the Democrats did. Republicans should have had a larger majority in the House of Representatives, but because of the slim majority, Thomas Massie's vote became very important. But I can't blame Thomas Massie for not wanting to vote for more spending when he's a deficit hawk, and that's part of who he's been in Congress. So, and he's going to be running for president in 2028, and I think that he's going to be doing very well because he was the only member. And when I mean the only member in Congress that cared about this issue in the House of Representatives. You got Rand Paul in the Senate as well, who also cares about this issue. But the members of Congress, doesn't matter if it's Republicans or Democrats that care about this crisis, our debt crisis, are far and few in Congress. But make no mistake about it. These people created it. And much like in the last podcast, when I was, talking about the education crisis and how the education crisis is by design, and it was the failure of our education system was designed by Rockefeller, Carnegie, and many of the people who they supported. This debt crisis is by design. It's absolutely by design. As a matter of fact, when I showed you, if you go back in the time machine, that we were at $5 trillion in debt in 2000, 26 years ago today, $5 trillion in debt. Matter of fact, they were predicting, because the national debt was so low back in 2000, they were predicting that we would be completely debt free. I've shared this article many times. Came out in 2011 on NPR. What if we paid off the national debt? What if we paid off the debt? Secret government report. And this entire article is about this document that was written by the Clinton administration when Larry Summers was the Treasury Secretary in 2000, called Life After Debt. And they were predicting that the United States was going to be completely debt-free by 2012. And they identified it as a crisis. Now we're dealing with a real crisis, a debt crisis. Back then in 2000, 26 years ago, the crisis was that there wasn't enough debt. Now they've eliminated that crisis. Now the crisis is we have too much debt. And it was all by design. They did it by design. These guys, all of these guys, these disgusting individuals right here did that to you. Not Trump. And that's what he said. He said this in the press conference and that he did at the G7, talking about this affordability issue. Listen to what he says.
We had a disturbance, but I must say it was much less than anybody thought. The oil never went to $350 a barrel. It went to $115, $120. The oil never went anywhere near that. And the other thing, I thought the stock market would go down 25 or 30%. The stock market a week ago, before we started this, was higher than it was when we started, which tells you that we have a very resilient economy. We have the strongest economy we've ever had. Now, the word affordability is a fake word made up by the Democrats. Here's where it's fake, because they made it up, because I inherited these prices. And when I had my first news conference, first day, they started screaming affordability, the Democrats.
Absolutely.
Affordability, they're screaming. I say, what's that all about? They gave it to me. They gave it to me. It's affordability. And they use that word to a fare thee well. Well, they were the ones that created the affordability crisis.
Absolutely.
I'm the one that got it down. Remember, highest insurance rates in history, highest rates for everything, eggs.
Absolutely. So, and that's what this chart shows. That's what this chart shows right here, that the Democrats put out, and then they had to delete it because it shows exactly what he just says, that he inherited this, the inaffordability, the high prices, the inflation, which creates the new normal. He inherited this. And this is the message that he needs to tell this story over the next 4 months before we get into November. This is the story right here, is that this is where inflation was during Trump's first term. They did COVID, released the virus from the lab, did COVID. We had all this COVID spending. And then Biden came in, did a $2 trillion stimulus by itself, all this spending, the Inflation Reduction Act and all this stuff, told us the inflation was transitory. It's not transitory. This is the new normal. So then when Trump's elected again, he inherits all this inflation from Biden. Inherits all this inflation from him. So that's where the affordability crisis. So when you want to talk about, and he's right, as soon as he came in, you had they killed all the chickens. So the egg prices were skyrocketing. Oh, Trump said he's going to bring down egg prices. Trump said that he's going to bring affordability. He hadn't even been there a month yet, and they're already accusing him of not bringing down the prices that they drove up. They did it. Man, I have so much more that I wanted to share in this podcast. Here, I do want to share this. Hold on, I'm sorry. Because I have a few more minutes. I want to talk about this because the crises that we're focusing on is the debt crisis. Current U.S. federal budget overview. Total spending for the United States in their budget is $7 trillion. Total revenue that the United States takes in through tax revenue is $5 trillion. That's a deficit. That's a budget deficit of $1.8 trillion. This is a crisis. We have a budget deficit of $1.8 trillion. And these were all of our spending is entitlements, defense, non-discretionary is the lowest. This is the crisis. The U.S. debt to GDP ratio currently approximately 133.9%. U.S. debt to GDP ratio currently approximately 133.9%, reflecting total federal debt of about 39.1 trillion. It's 39.2 you saw against GDP, which is roughly 29. So 133%, our debt is 133 and climbing 133.9, 134% of GDP is what our debt is. This is a crisis, people. Current annual interest on the debt. This is servicing the debt. As of the latest available data, U.S. federal government is paying about $952 trillion annually for servicing our debt. And as the debt climbs, this is going to climb, servicing the debt. So this is a crisis, and it's a huge crisis. Probably out of all the crises that the education crisis is huge too. I mean, all these are huge crises, but I think that the biggest is the debt crisis, and it threatens the United States and our national security. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.